Dimension 63, April 25th, 1944, Shadows of Evil. Nero, Jack, and Jessica are knocked unconscious at the Black Lace Burlesque Club. They wake up in a twisted version of Morgue City, shifted slightly from reality, told they can atone for their sins by the Shadow Man. All four are tricked into performing rituals. Jessica sacrifices her producer, Jack sacrifices his partner, Floyd sacrifices his promoter, and Nero sacrifices his lawyer. Completing all the required rituals, the Apotheans are given access to Dimension 63. Realizing they have been duped, the four work together with the Keepers to defeat the Shadow Man. They trap him in the summoning key, but before they can hand it over to the Keepers, Primus Richtofen arrives and steals the key. Richtofen travels to Dimension 2210 to secure an innocent Richtofen soul. He delivers a soul to the house. From within the key, the Shadow Man states, "I'll be seeing you." Throughout my conversational quotes videos, there was not a question asked more times than the question of what happened in Dimension 2210, and this is a completely fair question because most people really wouldn't even know what Dimension 2210 even is, and the reason for that is because we haven't heard anything about Dimension 2210 in any other Zombies map before. It's not in a cipher, it's not in a radio, it's not in a quote, it's not anywhere in any Zombies map ever. In fact, it's only made one appearance in Call of Duty Zombie storyline until now, and of course that was the timeline, and what I read at the start of this video. And this is something that I think needs to be talked into further detail, because this has always been something that you just mentioned. That's when Richtofen got his soul, and that's really all Dimension 2210 has ever been. But recently, with the conversational quotes for Alpha Omega, it made us question, did something more happen in Dimension 2210 than we're led to believe? Because through multiple conversations, we have this kind of dark theme about it, this sadness to this dimension, and that's what I kind of want to explore. And the first conversation I want to show you guys to kind of explain what's going on here and really show you why so many people are questioning what happened in Dimension 2210 or what really happened in Dimension 2210 is from this conversation right here between Primus, Nikolai, and Ultimus Dempsey.
Richtofen has already made bigger sacrifices than you realize, Dempsey. Much bigger.
Whatever he sacrificed, it wasn't enough. He should be burning in hell.
If you really want to see pain in Richtofen's eyes, ask him about Dimension 2210.
In this conversation, we really just hear Ultimus Dempsey being Ultimus Dempsey and hating Richtofen. Of course, that's to be expected, but surprisingly, we actually hear Primus Nikolai kind of defending Richtofen, which is an action we kind of never have seen by any other character in the history of zombies. So it is really quite interesting, especially Nikolai, who has hated Richtofen more than anybody in the Primus group, and for some reason now is kind of defending him, which is very interesting. And what's more interesting is the way he goes to defend Richtofen, and he tells Ultimus Dempsey, if you really want to see sadness in the eyes of Richtofen, ask him about Dimension 2210. And this paints a very different picture of what we thought of Dimension 2210 until now, because until now we just always thought of it, like I said earlier, just where Richtofen got his soul at, and that's all it really was. But for some reason now it has this dark theme to it, this sadness to this dimension, and it makes you question what really did happen in this dimension besides Richtofen just collecting his soul. Well, we actually have a couple more quotes to further spread light on this Dimension 2210. And this one right here is going to be a conversation between Primus Dempsey and Primus Richtofen.
Yeah, about that whole soul hole. How come I don't feel any different without it?
What it feels like to have lost your soul, especially at a young age, is a tragedy I do not particularly want to recount.
So here we hear Primus Richtofen mention the idea of losing your soul at a young age, and this is something that we kind of never really had for our characters, because with all the other characters, when they collected their souls through BO3, they just kind of killed other versions of themselves that were older. But now he's talking about losing your soul at a younger age, and this is something that we could kind of tell where this is going here, but I just want to play one more conversation before we actually just go out and say what really happened in Dimension 2210. And the conversation I'm going to be playing for you is between Ultimus Nikolai and Ultimus Richtofen.
What of your soul, Richtofen? Did you ever even have one?
We shouldn't argue, Nikolai, but just so you know, I definitely had a soul. A really good one. I was such a good little boy.
So this got a little bit dark, because I think we could all tell what really happened in Dimension 2210. It seems like Ultimus Richtofen has just flat out said that I was a good little boy. So it seems like when Primus Richtofen went to Dimension 2210 to collect his soul, unlike Takeo, Dempsey, and Nikolai, instead of killing an older version of themselves to collect their innocent soul, he had to go to a time when he was a child for he could collect an innocent soul of himself. So what that means, if you guys haven't figured it out already, Richtofen had to kill a child version of himself in order to collect his soul. Wow, I don't know what to say besides wow. This was something I was not really expecting, but this really does paint a new light on the intro to the Giant, because as we all saw in the intro to the Giant, Primus Richtofen walks out and blows the head off of the 1.0 version of himself, seemingly not phased at all. Like, he didn't even seem like anything really happened. And this is even further pushed in the conversational quotes for the Giants. Multiple times the characters are saying you just straight killed yourself with no reaction at all, and this kind just painted Richtofen as being ruthless, heartless, you know, kind of a sociopath, which is something we kind of expected out of him, right? But that's completely not true. Richtofen did feel something when he died, contrary to what he said in Revelations.
When I died, I felt nothing. When Dempsey died, I felt something. When Takeo died, I knew I had to try to save them.
The reason Richtofen was not phased at all by killing an older version of himself is because he did something much worse just not too long ago in his journey. And in fact, he did something much worse than what any of the other characters had to do. All the other characters, they only killed older versions of themselves. They killed themselves while they were fighting in Stalingrad, while they were locked in Zetsubo, while they were frozen the Reisendrache. No, Richtofen didn't get that luxury. Instead, he had to kill a child version of himself. And honestly, looking at how killing older versions of themselves affected them, just imagine how this has affected Richtofen, and especially just imagine how much this has affected Richtofen when he hasn't even mentioned it to anybody. He never mentioned this. He's all kept it bottled up inside him, and really it is quite dark and sad, and it's honestly something I would have never expected out of Richtofen and him collecting his soul in Dimension 2210. But I guess that's about it for this video. This one did turn a little dark here at the end, but it is a question that a lot of people have been asking me, and here it is. So, you know, it's not exactly your normal storyline video where I'm just saying how cool this is, how cool that is. It's more like, you know, this isn't the best ever. I don't know. But anyways, if you guys are interested in more videos like this, you know, do the normal YouTube stuff, like, subscribe, bell, share, and all that great stuff. But I'm gonna go, and I'll catch you guys next stream video or whatever it may be. But laters, guys.